Alright, hey y'all, it's Violet and welcome to my channel, The Violet Realm. So anybody that's new, welcome. This is basically my creative space for my interests and hobbies. And if you didn't already know, I am a diehard fan of Diablo 4. I've been playing Diablo 4 since August 16th, 2003. I have been streaming Diablo 4 on Twitch. And actually, June 24th is my 2-year Twitch affiliate anniversary. Anyway, so I wanted to just change it up with my reaction videos. My friend Cliptis has been doing interviews of really well-known D4 players, and he recently posted one of Rob. So if you play Diablo 4, I don't really need to say much more than that he interviewed Rob. You're gonna know. And if you've been there throughout my entire time streaming Diablo 4, you know that my main class is barbarian. So I have played a barbarian every single season, and like the only time I didn't play, now I'm gonna have to backtrack. When the expansion came out with Vessel of Hatred and they introduced the Spiritborn, that's when things started to change for me. And they introduced Paragon 300. So that season was just like bananas, right? There were so many changes. I played so much Spiritborn, but I definitely still put in my time as a Barb. I did start off with the Barb, but then I just ended it with the Spiritborn to 300. Very grueling that season. And I ended up really loving the Spiritborn. Unfortunately, like last season, it wasn't as strong, but I still played Barb a lot of last season and Spiritborn, and I did do pit pushing on the leaderboards for both last season. This season, I don't even know if I made a Barb, to be honest. Like, I haven't played as much. I did make a Spiritborn. I just been really busy. I've kind of told y'all that there's been a lot of changes going on in my life. And, but yeah, so I just barely did a pit push for the Spiritborn a few days ago for the leaderboards. And I will be doing that for my Twitch anniversary, is just pit pushing and just do little by little just to see what I can do. There's only like a week left. The new season of Diablo 4 drops on July 1st at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. But anyways, I thought it'd be super fun to react to one of Cliptis's podcast interviews, and he just dropped one with Rob, and Rob is, as he titled it, King or Barbarian. And that's actually how Cliptis and I became friends as well, because we're both huge Barb fans. So without further ado, I'm going to check this out with you because I haven't seen it yet. So here we go.
Masters of Sanctuary. Welcome, Wanderers, to the Masters of Sanctuary Clipcast. I'm your host, Cliptis. Our expert today needs no introductions.
Okay, I got it.
He's a Diablo legend, a longtime Diablo partner from the days of Diablo 3, the king of the barbarians,
and I do have my Diablo
the man
4
himself,
hoodie on.
Rob2628. Rob, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, thanks for having me, man. Welcome to the BARBNATIon, everybody, of course.
Yeah, welcome
BARBNATIon.
I'm super excited about this.
Nice hoodie, dude. That's looking really good.
Thank you.
Cool.
Got to represent the BARBNATIon today.
Hell yeah.
Yes, you did.
Yep. So what we're going to be talking about today is Barb, but we're also got a lot of other topics that I want to cover. So it's going to be a all-around class to expansion pack to upcoming season. So I'm pretty excited about it.
Yeah, I'm excited.
So for everybody,
there's a lot of stuff to cover for sure.
There's a whole lot of stuff to cover. So
I love
for anybody that doesn't know you,
BARBNATIon stuff,
which
y'all,
I'm sure
so
that most people out there
definitely
probably
check out
do.
his merch.
Tell me a little bit about yourself. Where did you get into gaming? When did that career start? And what brought you from where you started to Diablo 4?
All right, yeah. Hey, everybody, it's Rob here. I like to play ARPGs, in particular Diablo. I started, actually as a teenager, as a kid, I would say, playing Diablo 2. Obviously, that was all, off-stream. I'm from Germany, so the internet wasn't the best. I didn't stream Diablo 2. It was, single player. And at some point, I
Oh, I
started
didn't know
D3,
that.
and at some point, I got good internet, and I started blasting in D3. Already representing the Barbarian was my first class in D2 as well, and then obviously in Diablo
Interesting.
3 as well. I was doing a lot of leaderboard stuff over there, like meta progression, meta stuff, and I was actually playing with the top players over there for quite some time, for quite many years, and they were all streaming, and I couldn't because my internet sucked. And then at some point, I actually
Bummer.
started streaming it as well. And then we have been basically on the journey of Blast.
And I'm gonna pause right there because if y'all don't know Cliptis, he's in Hawaii and he has had a lot of internet issues. So I'm sure he and Rob can relate to this.
In Diablo, and then playing Diablo 4 like early testing days, and getting into Diablo, and getting the first 100 when the game launched, and we've been blasting hard ever since. And nowadays, obviously, like I like the Barb the most. It's my most favorite class, the coolest class, the best class.
Best class.
But there's
Absolutely.
also a lot of other cool classes, such as the Sorcerer or the Spirit Ball, that I really
Yeah.
enjoy playing.
So, what was it like?
Yeah, I gotta agree with Rob on that one. So as I was saying in my introduction, that I was first introduced to Diablo 4 on a barb, and that's how that ended up being my favorite class. But my second favorite class, and I don't know if I've ever told anybody, was actually Sorcerer. It was Sork. I played Makuna's Sork build and loved it. It was like what was the Blizzard? I forgot how many. I've played every season. I was like everything's becoming a blur, but that wasn't until Spiritborn came out, and Spiritborn was awesome when it first came out, and it wasn't as good last season. It was better this season. So I gotta say, like for me personally, like those are like the three classes that I enjoy playing the most as well.
Like to beta test a game? Because I never actually got to do that. I didn't make it into the Diablo 4 beta. I kind of hopped in right after it launched. What was it like to actually get in and beta test something like that?
So I just really like giving all this feedback and getting in all this like knowledge, to also like check what works best. For me, this is always like basically like Christmas for me. I always enjoy this time the most when everything feels new,
It's
like
so
when they drop like
funny.
a huge patch, a huge expansion, or just like, a completely like new game after playing Diablo 3 with all its perks and problems for so many years. I just really enjoyed like something fresh. And obviously the graphics and the
Interesting.
cinematics in Diablo 4,
So
like
good.
they just hooked me right away. The barb with the
So
four
good.
weapons and the swapping and stuff. So I got hooked immediately, and I mean, I really enjoy like testing all the stuff, and then also giving like a compact feedback of stuff to maybe improve.
Ooh, hold on. Ads.
Backbone was originally founded.
That is awesome. I hopefully will get to be a part of that at some point in the future. So you talked a little about your journey getting to streaming. You had
Okay.
bad internet. You finally got that internet up and running. You were playing with a whole bunch of streamers, the high-profile ones. It can be pretty
Nice.
tough out there for streaming or content creation world. And as someone that has had a lot of success recently, so since you started actually having good internet, can you recall the moment that really kind of skyrocketed your success? Maybe give a little insight for some of the aspiring content creators out there on what to expect as they kind of get started?
All right, yeah, sure. So just for those of you who know, like in D3, like back in the days, there was some cool names floating around, like Invis, Moldren, Void, Archon the Wizard. There was like some pretty cool people that I was already playing with, before I could even start my streaming journey. And then the internet finally came to Germany properly.
Jeez.
Nice.
And we
Nice.
could stream as well, and I instantly started basically like being trying to be on the top of the leaderboards there, and that worked really well. But obviously by that time, that was like I think 2016 or something, 4 years or something after Diablo, and also the Reaper of Souls expansion was already done.
Okay.
The hype of Diablo 3, or the interest, was not really at its peak anymore. Like the interest has dropped pretty significantly,
Okay.
and everybody was already looking, for the next Diablo. And I basically
Right.
kept streaming, and I kept doing my stuff.
Diablo
I had
4
like
didn't
I don't
come
know,
out for a
a couple hundred
while.
viewers at the time. Playing Diablo at launch obviously was a bit more, but then in the droughts it was a bit less. But then
Yeah.
when D4 came, I already played, like I said earlier, like all betas. There was also the public betas. We were already doing like some crazy stuff, like doing like multiple Ashava kills, or making like half damage of Ashava with like one upheaval with a level 25 barbarian and all this kind of stuff.
We already know how much Rob was damage. Right. He is all about the damage.
So we were already like, looking into this kind of things. And I prepared myself really well with some friends.
Okay.
So big shout out to my group as well. Like I'm mainly, I play online video games. I don't really prefer to play solo. If I can,
I'm the same.
I always
Yeah.
want to play with my friends. I always want to play in a party. I really like the social aspect that especially Diablo 4 brings with the open world and like
Oh my
finding people. I
gosh,
also like trading a
100%,
lot.
y'all.
Obviously, trading has quite some problems in the game. We can maybe chat about it later. But
Yeah.
so what basically happened was on the launch, and where I think I really got on the radar, like for a lot of the Diablo 4 enjoyers, was that I was basically the first person before the game even fully released
Okay.
to reach level 100 and also to beat Uber Lilith. So
Wow,
basically, like that was
okay,
we had the early
alright.
access,
Nice.
I think, like on the second, I think it was. We just had the anniversary, so I think it was on the second, and then the game officially released like 3.5,
Okay.
4 days later on the 6th of
Okay.
June, if I remember correctly. And so I was already level 100 after I think 55 hours of playing. So that was before the game even released.
55
for like,
hours to
most
get
people.
to 100, y'all.
Can you imagine 55 hours of playing the level?
Oh
compared
man,
to now?
it was crazy. I mean, we had a wild strategy that we came up with in the betas. Obviously, you have some advantage. Like if you played the betas and the public betas and stuff like that, that's undeniable,
course.
right? Like this is in every game. You just have some inherent like knowledge advantage. But I did my best. Like I did many videos, sharing my experience there and like, explaining people of how to level up, how to be efficient, how to play. The best build back in the days was the whirlwind buff. So
Yes,
Oh
it
my
was.
God.
I think that was really what got me on.
Okay, I'm gonna pause right there because anyone knows my backstory with Diablo 4. It was my best friend that introduced it to me, and he played the barb. And I suck at video games. And jeez, I don't even know when the last time I touched a console. So I didn't even know how to use a PlayStation 5 console. It was super embarrassing. But yes, that is literally my first barb build was what one.
On the radar. Like we got that. I basically streamed for 30 hours. Then I went to sleep
Whoa.
for like I think I only slept like 4 hours, and then I
So-
streamed for another 30
like
hours.
10 or
And then
something.
at hour 55 of playing, I reached the max level, and then I still kept streaming because there was like some
Wow,
crazy
that's
hype.
crazy.
I think
Oh
we
my
had like
gosh.
20,000 people or something watching on Twitch, and
bananas.
there was like an
Wow.
entire like unofficial. Obviously there was no leaderboard, but there was an unofficial race going on. And we were
course.
basically just blasting there, having some interviews with the racers, with other people, and ever since, man, I just make a lot of videos explaining how I do stuff, and I always like to do the meta stuff, the crazy stuff, the one shots, the barbarians, the trillions,
The
this kind of
Barbarians
stuff.
and Trillion. Yes.
Yep.
Yep. We're
So,
really aware of that.
Based on
Rob.
your experience, do you think that without having YouTube or outside platforms other than Twitch, do you think that it is possible to make it big, or do you think that YouTube really plays a huge part of that? I mean, you can see the little YouTube award in the background here for you.
Oh my
There it is,
gosh.
Great
He's so
question. So
observant, I didn't
overall,
even
I
notice
think
that.
it's very hard to get discovered on Twitch. I think it's a huge problem on the platform. I hope they address it in some way. It's way easier, to get picked up by the algorithm on stuff like TikTok or YouTube and these kind of things. You can like pretty much go viral, especially if you do like crazy stuff. Like obviously you go viral in a niche that is
Crazy
ARPG
stuff.
players or Diablo players.
Right.
So you can't expect to get like tens of million views, but maybe you can get like 100,000 or something, right? And that's already like going pretty viral for this, Diablo ARPG community. So I think best platforms, and what I would also suggest for other people that start content creation, you cannot only start on Twitch. I don't think it's working. The thing for me is I was
Yeah,
already
I have to
known
agree with
before
you
I
on
started
that.
streaming, like I explained earlier. Like I had, all these in Diablo, they had an in-game leaderboard. It's coming to Diablo 4 soon, so that's a great opportunity.
Oh my gosh,
But in
seriously.
Cannot
D3,
wait.
in D3 we had this
I'm
from
gonna have to pause. Like, I saw that on there's a oh my gosh, there's like this calendar or something that the team posted about all the upcoming changes with D4, and I can't remember the exact day, but I do remember there will be an official leaderboard in D4. I'm super excited about that.
not from the start, but since a very long time. And people already like of the scene already kind of knew me, from the leaderboards. I was like consistently like in the top ranks there in solo 2, 3, and 4 player with my clan back in the days, and I think that really helped. So my first stream on Twitch right away, like we had like I think like 110 views or something, because we were
Very
just doing
nice.
leaderboard pushing. So I think there's
Great.
a big opportunity coming up, depending on, of course, how Diablo 4 is implementing those leaderboards. Like my ideal wish would be, obviously, we have some new endgame that's not the pit, because pit has many problems, and we're just gonna have
Right.
some like crazy cool endgame, and we're gonna have a leaderboard for this game, and then maybe there's an icon where they can click and see the clear, or at least the gear and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
that would
Okay.
be that'd be really cool. And a huge opportunity. But again, to the question, yeah, I think doing multiple platforms is key these days, especially to get discovered. You need to do something
Okay.
crazy. You need to like stick out of the crowd, you know.
Yeah, it's true. And it
People have been telling me about Kick, so I don't know how many of y'all already stream on. This is like me talking to my fellow Twitch streamers that a lot of people are moving to Kick. That's what I heard. I'm not on it. I have no idea. So if anybody watches streams on Kick or they prefer it over Twitch, I would really love to know if it's worth me like starting up on there.
doesn't have to be anything super flashy, just whatever your niche is, whatever you're good at.
But
I like that
flashy
one.
things still work very well.
Flashy
Yeah, it
things
doesn't
definitely
have to,
work
but you know,
very,
you gotta
very
have
well.
some
Yes.
creative ideas. You gotta do some
Yes.
stuff that other people don't do.
I agree. Yep. So most people know you from the time that you spent on the Barbarian. We talked a little bit about that. That was what you first got started. When you first started in Diablo 2, what drew you to the Barbarian class? And then what has been the progressions going into Diablo 4?
All right, y'all, let's go ahead and get this order packed for Ava, Florida. She clearly knows what she's doing because she grabbed...
I mean, I just like to be in the monster's face, you know. Like I said earlier, like Diablo 2 was my first game,
am
and
so with you on
Barbarian
that,
was
Rob.
actually, you could arguably say, the weakest class in Diablo 2. But I didn't
Really?
really care so much at the beginning. It was just like the place, you know, like having these mighty shouts and having the weapons,
Loved
and
it.
obviously having Warwind, also in Diablo 2. It was great, man. And I remember that Barbarian versus early Duriel Act 2 fight, like, it was kind of tough, you know? It was kind of
Yeah.
challenging.
It was.
But I enjoyed it so much, man. Like when I first played the game, like I don't know, I was like 13 or 12, I don't even remember, like a teenager. And I clicked everything. I picked up every item. I explored every teeny tiny part of the Diablo 2 maps. Everything, dude. And I played all the way until hell. And it took forever, but it was fun, man. It was like one of the best experiences in like, you know, playing Diablo in my life, because I also had my cousin and my neighbor, and we had like one PC. It was at my neighbor's place, and we always went
Okay.
there to play the game. It was
Oh,
so
interesting.
And then like one
Awesome.
guy would play, and the other two would just sit there and watch and give
And just
tips
watch.
and stuff. It was
Yep.
great, man.
That's like old
So
school
just
streaming.
do this.
Live
Yep.
streaming.
Oh yeah, So for a little bit about me, I actually had 6 younger brothers growing up.
6.
6.
All right, man. That's
Sick.
crazy, dude. There's a lot of competition for
Gosh,
stuff.
Cliptis, I did not
lot.
know that.
We had one TV, one gaming console. We got 30 minutes each to play, and that was it.
Hell yeah.
30
And we
minutes.
needed one person
Cannot
playing,
believe that.
and then 6 other people around, just glued to the TV.
Yes.
Yep. So I
Oh,
get
those were the
that.
days. I mean, that's basically like you kind of like already streaming your game.
Now I have a question for Cliptis. Do you have any sisters? Just curious.
Gameplay, right? That's like the early beginnings. Like you play, people watching you.
It was, yep, exactly like that. That's awesome. So, with the Barbarian being your main class, we've definitely seen you play a lot of other classes.
Yeah.
What is your favorite type of build to play when you're playing when you're looking for a build to get onto any class?
So I really like speed. I really like damage. I don't really care much about toughness, survivability. That's not really like my main concern. I think in ARPGs, like all you really need is damage and mobility. So
Yeah.
what I really like the most in
it's
terms
true.
of builds is builds like the Whirlwind Barb, where you can move while you deal like extreme amount of damage, have some good AoE and stuff like that. And obviously like the first great build that had this was the build I played like basically in the beta and then into the live game was the Whirlwind Barb. And it was just like, if you remember the early Gore's Devastating Grass, like these gloves that create this explosion, they were so good back in the days. You had like the full player agency, the full control over like when to explode. You could stack it up for, I don't know, 10 minutes if you'd want, and then do 1 trillion damage when you explode,
Jeez.
right? I mean, they took this all away. I hated that part that they took it away, but it was so good on launch, man. That was still the best version of Whirlwind Barb to come out, and I
Interesting.
pray ever since that at some point it's gonna come back, man.
I'm
I
surprised
hope so.
they
I hope so. I
haven't.
love
I'm
playing
sure
Whirlwind
Rob's
Barb.
told Blizzard.
I really
this.
do. Just like zooming around, just constantly spinning. It is just I don't know why it is so satisfying.
Yeah, I mean, it's still fun, but it's not as cool anymore because, basically all your damage is coming not from yourself, from your physical attack,
Right.
but it's coming from your whirlwinds, from your tornadoes, from your earthquakes, or from
Yeah.
your
Oh,
pets.
I love
But
earthquakes,
I
y'all.
really liked when it launched that you yourself did the damage,
Yep.
And
Yeah, me
I
too.
really
That-
hope that this is going to change at some point. I give this feedback to Blizzard every chance I get, and please make Whirlwind Barb great again. Direct damage. They
Wow.
acknowledged it in one of the recent campfire chats where they really said they want the Barb, to do physical damage with their attacks. We want to be that mighty warrior
Smash,
that
y'all.
actually
What have I always been talking about?
provides
I love to
meaningful attacks,
smash.
like the big Hoda smashes, the big whirlwind. This kind of stuff is, I feel, what the majority and myself as well of the community wants.
Yeah, I agree. This season, actually, I put together a Hoda build. Just
I love
pure
Hoda.
Just built on overpower
No
damage.
earthquakes.
Yes.
No
Played
earthquakes.
that last season.
We got it up to 400 billion per Hoda.
That's good, Cliptis.
That's a
so
lot.
it's not like trillions of damage like some of the top
Wait,
builds
I
are
thought I
doing,
said,
but
you said billion,
there
right?
there was a small buff to Hoda. I don't know what's going to feel like with what they're going to settle on for changes to overpower, but it was really fun to just walk into the dungeon and smash things with the Hammer of Agents Barb.
Yeah.
Hell
Like,
yeah.
like that felt real fun.
I mean,
Yeah.
season 2 was great in that regard. Like the
Season
whirlwind
2.
plus
Amazing.
hammer combination.
Ah,
Man, that was like a
amazing.
10 out of 10, dude.
It was 100%.
I love whatever.
So-
10 out of 10.
You have tested hundreds, if not thousands, of builds. Do you think that you can narrow it down to your top favorite builds of all time? Maybe top 1, top 3?
I mean, we already talked about that, basically. Like,
The
the
whirlwind
whirlwind
Hoda
Bob
build,
is
yes.
hashtag
Yeah.
one.
Rob was just like,
The number
Okay,
2,
number
I
one.
would probably give to Hoda Bob, like I said, and then obviously combining number 1, whirlwind, and number 2, Hoda into
why
one
not?
in season 2.
This is how your
That
cake and
felt
eat it too, y'all.
great. I also really like the Bash Bob. Like, Bash Bob is just
I
so
did
simple.
Bash,
You just
too.
go there and you
I love
basically
Bash.
start
Things.
bashing.
Yeah.
You smash
I
things,
love
and then
Bash
there's
Barb.
there's big numbers, and it's just a ton of fun. And also, what's really cool right now, I hope they buff it a lot, is the lunging strike. Like, lunging strike
Oh,
is
I
like
did that
you
too.
know, dash to the monster
did that
kind of
last
play
season.
style, and then also do AoE. That's really cool with like crazy attack speed, and I really hope that they, I don't know, like 5 exit or something, so it's gonna be a viable build and competing with the pet quakes. That's
I
like
hope
lunging
so.
strike is ton of fun.
It was
Yeah.
super fun. And if you increase the range on it,
Yeah,
you just
the
fly
mobility range.
everywhere. Yeah, it's super fun. So hopefully something like that. Something that surprised me this season was actually the double swing build.
Ah! No, 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 no.
It
Yeah,
was
double swing is okay, but for me, I really like the one big hit stuff. I like it. I
Yeah,
prefer it a
yes.
bit more. This is the personal choice, but
No, I
for
get
me, it's
that,
like
yeah.
rend and double swing. They're okay. Like they're also pretty fast paced, but I really like the big two-hand weapon attacks better.
me
Oh,
too. Yeah,
yes.
yeah. Okay,
Okay.
so we know what your favorite build is. And I
Maybe
have a
pass.
feeling that I know what your favorite season is going to be. But what, out of all of the seasons in Diablo 4, has been your favorite?
I mean, there's basically 2 contenders. I think the top 2 best seasons was obviously season 2. We had the Abattoir of Zir, which really surprised us because they recently they stopped doing like mid-season patches, which I really dislike. I was always like looking forward to, because right now basically we're in the same situation right now. Diablo until the season 9 starts next month or something is like in kind of like a
Nothing.
drought phase, like
Right,
nothing
nothing.
really much
Ow!
is going on. And I would have really loved to see more mid-season patches, and they really surprised us in season 2. Having this like big mid-season patch, new end game, Abattoir of Zir, like crazy stuff was going on. We also had a very cool seasonal theme that I really enjoyed, and it was just one of the best seasons. And then my second, I'm not sure which one's better. My second one is season 4, where they completely like redid the itemization, and that's also where they introduced the Bash Barb, right? So that
Yes.
was
Yep.
a ton of fun. So I would rank those season 2 and season 4 as my top seasons, basically all-time favorite. Probably season 2 has a slight edge. The Blood Tide was amazing, and the entire vibes were so good because AOZ actually provided some very, very challenging endgame, which was also rewarding with the Tears of Blood, and also gave you an extra progression system to do something, where the pits just feels worse to me. I don't know. It's just like I really liked Abattoir of Zir. I know like a lot of people have like said that it was too hard, it was too punishing, like one death and you're out and stuff. But I think it was really cool, and it was a very welcome change to the endgame that we have right now.
Yeah, I agree. Actually, AOZ was super fun for me. addition of leveling up your glyphs there, yes, it was very punishing if you died, but the amount of XP that you got for your glyphs, you could level up a glyph from 1 to max in 1 clear.
Hell yeah.
So if you were successful in your run, you didn't feel like that last run where you died was wasted. You actually felt rewarded, which was very, very cool.
Great times.
So when I started Diablo 4, Barbarian for me was an obvious choice. I've been playing since Diablo 2, just like you. We went Barbarian. Now, if you could give new players something that wanted to hop onto Barbarian, give them 3 tips that are going to make their journey into the Barbarians a lot easier, what would those tips be?
Okay. I always get Barbarian. I feel like always gets paid for that, but triple shout, man. Always go triple shout. I think it's like basically every build is just better with triple shout, especially you know, like when you're like in the mid game or something and you get like the Bolt's Chieftain, or you get at least like 1 roll. Like, use your shouts constantly, use them smart, and they're gonna fix so many of your problems. And I always work around, like, every good barb build needs to have triple shout. I mean, you know, maybe this is something for the devs to solve, but like right now I feel like at least 95, if not 99% of all the, you know, GG barb builds, like, hey, just have triple shouts, man. And I really like the shouts, like, you know, mighty war cry. So that's number 1 probably.
Okay.
Number 2 would be focus on Fury generation early on. I see like a lot of, especially new players. They always ask me like, Rob, how you get the Fury? Like, I see you play, but I can't get the Fury. It was like, for example, like in the recent like Whirlwind Petquake build. I got this question so many times. Like, how do you even get the Fury? The resources to even start spinning, right? So I think for newer players, like focusing on something like a Fury on kill on the weapon, or getting some, you know, some basic skills now with the new lunging strike. It's basically very important to make the Barbarian angry and to get some Fury. But you can also just get hit. You know, like Fury, just get hit. It's a cool mechanic. But
that is 100% true.
I feel like early on a lot of people like struggle with that. So focus on Fury generation, because early on this is just where your damage is coming from, basically, before you have like all the crazy Earthquake multipliers. And I think the third one would be like look into mobility, or look into ways of dealing damage while you move, for example leaving an Earthquake or using Whirlwind or something, because then you can basically make use of all this synergy where you have your shouts, they give you unstoppable, they give you berserking, they give you a ton of movement speed with Rallying Cry. You're going to be running really fast because you don't really have like a teleport or something as you're playing Dungeon Strike, but you really want to be fast and deal the damage while you're moving. That's how you're efficient, and focus on DPS basically.
Okay, that sounds
so
good.
True.
Yeah, the Summoner builds were very, very tough on Fury generation if you didn't know what you were doing, so that's a really, really great tip.
Yeah, I mean...
From competing at the highest levels, which we just talked about, AOZ, to the gauntlet pushes. I remember your very first run up the gauntlet.
Oh my gosh,
you topped the leaderboards, I saw that.
It was actually crazy, like just a little on that, like when we started AOZ, I remember like people were always like preparing, and a lot of content creators were doing the builds like AOZ ready, you know, this and that, and this class and this build and stuff. And I remember when it launched, like I was playing like an immortal version, like back in the days with the Melted Heart of Selig, actually. Like a very, let's say, beginner. Obviously, it was not optimized, like if you compare it to the last place, but it was a very beginner-friendly build, because we were just basically immortal Barbarian, and we were just using Hoda and a bunch of Fury. And I remember, I think we went like all the way to like AOZ 19 on the first days, while most other builds and classes were like struggling clearing 9 or something. It was actually crazy. But Barb was really cool back in the days. And I really enjoyed it. And I think there was also so many people like joining the Barb Nation, because Barb was so amazing in AOZ back in the days. It was cool.
It really was. It was, the Immortal Barb makes sense, because fighting the 3 Hellborn that spawned,
I saw the 30-second pink salt trick in a viral video. Weeks later, they stopped to call me delusional when
they were so strong.
Ultimate challenge, man.
So strong. The start in that fight, you had this adrenaline rush right before it started.
Yeah, but that was so much better than the current pit bosses. Like having like one boss there being like a damage sponge, and you basically can't die, and he can't die, and no one dies, and the fight takes 10 minutes. It's just stupid, man.
That is so
those Bloodseekers,
stupid
man,
boring.
they were crazy.
They were insane. Yeah, they were really crazy. That season with AOZ, I was actually playing just a regular Hoda Barb, not Whirlwind.
And that was me as well in the start. I think everybody, like nobody even knew about this Whirlwind Hoda Barb before it got popular, like in China or something.
Yeah, I think that's where it came from. But I don't know how I feel about it, because you would have to like wait for your cooldowns to come up, and then you have to go back in and fight, and you wait for your cooldowns to go back in and fight. Because I wasn't running the Immortal Barb. When Whirlwind Hammer of the Ancients came out, it changed everything. I was like, this is the most fun I have ever had.
And there were
loves
also so
that-
many tricks to it,
that
you know, like
one.
how you do this rotation, like how smooth can you make it with like force move, animation, cancel, and man, people were cooking on this. It was great times.
It was so much
And there was a
fun.
huge incentive to also cook and, you know, develop the meta.
Yeah.
There was like something
Yeah.
new basically, like every day, man. It's like when Vessel
was-
of Fated came out. It was like this new stuff every day. Or new meta.
Yeah. Yeah,
I miss that,
absolutely
man.
loved it.
That's always the most fun to me, like testing all this and seeing all the craziness that's going on associated with this, and
So
you know, also
glad
the collective
he loves to
community, you know,
test.
coming together and working on this bit, because not you, not me, not any single one person, you know, can come up with this like end game.
No.
It's always like a, you know, a community like effort, collaboration from different regions, from China, from Asia, from Europe, from the United States, from everywhere. People just coming together and like, you know, keep improving those builds, keep cooking on them, and it's just cool like to see this like community effort, and then to beat like AOZ 25 finally. It was so cool.
No, I 100% agree, and that's what I really loved about even just starting to create content with Diablo 4, is that the community is incredibly welcoming. They really like sharing ideas and building
Yeah.
builds, and you always have the people that are like, oh, well, you just are using this person's build, but a lot of the builds are very similar.
Oh my
And
gosh, I don't even
that's
want
the
to
whole
hear
point.
that
Like,
crap.
you play a build, you learn it, you see how people are playing it, and then you make a change that you like to do, or share all of your findings. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, I keep hearing something similar like that. I mean, obviously, give credit where credit is due, but
Of course,
nobody owns a build in a video game, and
No,
like,
yeah.
nobody just like so many
It's
times,
like-
but like you're playing this and this person's.
I'm pretty sure, I don't know, everyone needs to understand that when you're making a build, that you just use your common sense when you go throughout the process, and depending on what you want to do, and like how Rob is saying, how a lot of us just want to obviously deal a lot of damage, and speed's important, so you're gonna pick gear and aspects and everything, and when you're with your Paragon board to complement all of these things, right, to maximize it. So there's kind of like only so many ways to do it. So I think it's really ridiculous when people say they're stealing someone's build, or they think it's their build, because it's just, you just can't. It's kind of like with music. There are only 7 notes, okay? So there's only so many chords and ways you can do music, and it's kind of, I'm going to relate that to Diablo 4 builds, where there's only so many ways you can do a meta build or a really, really badass build.
Whirlwind build, like what? We
Yep.
played Whirlwind like 20 years ago. If anything, Blizzard made a Whirlwind build. Like, what are you talking
Yes.
about? What's
Yeah,
so
I
crazy?
completely agree. Yeah, just play the build you like to play, and if somebody else came
Yeah,
up
yeah.
with it, obviously you can give them credit for it, but it doesn't really matter. Like, you're playing a build, you're playing a video game, you're having fun.
Yeah, and overall,
Yeah.
like just coming together and working on this problem, like as a collective, as a community, like that's
Yeah.
the coolest, you know. And
I 100% agree. So back
there's
to the
obviously
question.
there's
Oh, wait, go
one thing,
ahead.
there's like
Yeah.
a lot of
Yeah.
you know, obviously like there's a little bit drama here and there in the Diablo community, but overall it's exactly like you said. You know, the ARPG and in particular here the Diablo community, I feel like there's, you know, I would say like they are like quite mature people. You know, they're not like looking at Fortnite or something where you have like a lot of younger people playing.
Oh my
like here, I
God.
think we have a lot of
Ew.
like 30, 40,
Fortnite.
maybe even 50-year-olds or something that are playing. Some grandpapas maybe as well. And you know, people are
Probably.
generally like very
Gosh.
like friendly and very welcoming in the community.
That's
We don't
very
really
true.
have this like, you know, PvP community in like Dota or something, like where there's like an, you know, like an elbow society. And here I think it's more like, you know, we work together to have fun and to slay some demons together. And that's just way cooler and way more like positive to be a content creator in than in some of those like, let's say PvP communities.
I'm feeling good.
That's
I'm feeling a little silly,
interesting, because I do know my friends that like to do PvP. They always struggle to find
Yeah, I
people
100%
in the
agree.
PvP
Yeah.
zone.
I
It's
actually
not very
have
popular in D4.
one of the officers in my Discord channel. She's in her 70s. She's still gaming.
Wow.
She's been
Hell
doing
yeah.
Diablo 2.
Grande
I didn't
mama.
know that
Diablo 4.
Cliptis.
Yeah, she's there. She's doing Diablo 4. She's doing PoE 2. She's
Living
just
the
been
life.
killing
Oh my
it.
God,
This is
Poe.
amazing. Yeah, so good. So the question, which we go on a great, great tangent, is actually what is your approach to doing things like that, like pushing your max level to 100 in the very first, or doing AOZ, preparing for the gauntlet? What is your approach to doing this high level content?
He does yoga.
In short, I would say town is lava and focus on DPS. So
Okay.
unless you're playing hardcore, for the second point, unless you're playing hardcore,
Okay.
I feel like the most efficient way to play the game, if that's what you care about, and that's what's giving me the most joy, that's what's giving me the most fun. I want to be, as close to the max efficiency as I possibly can. That's just what I enjoy, and that's how I like to max the game, and that's what I also share in terms of knowledge with you guys, with the community, like, how we do this. And I really like, focus on damage. Like, toughness doesn't really matter. My motto is like, if you can one-shot them, they can't one-shot you. So you just one-shot them
Right.
first, and you're good, So that was also like in AOZ in the end, like we went like,
The
the left part was
one-shotting.
cool for quality of life, but
I
in the
wanna
end
see
we went
some
Banish
of that.
Doors, and we went like full DPS basically, Tybet's Will and all that stuff. So this is in the end always the way, and I think it's almost in every ARPG,
is
but
the
especially
way.
in Diablo, you just want to focus on damage.
Just
And
damage,
just kill
y'all.
the enemies before they kill you, and this is like how you can achieve, I think, overall better entire clears. And then obviously, like, don't think about it so much, don't stand in town, like, for half an hour trying to, like, roll like 5% more armor or get this teeny tiny thing. Like, just do the next run, keep blasting, and you're gonna get experience, you're gonna get paragons, you're gonna get new items, you're gonna get gem ups, and you're just gonna be so much stronger, if you just
That's what he's
keep
saying,
going,
Rob. Don't you care
especially
masterwork or what?
in the first week of the season or something. Like, that's also how I get to Paragon 300. I just don't stand in town, Whenever I'm talking, like, I don't know, like to the chat or something, I'm reading questions. I just, like, meanwhile, I just play a run. I don't know, I do something.
Huh.
Yeah, it's
I never
definitely
thought
a
about
grind
that,
to get there,
though.
and I don't think people understand quite how much time it takes and how much you have to just kill monsters.
Yeah, it's like, for me, it takes about 100 hours to get to Paragon 300, but that's, like,
Okay.
very efficient play. And, like, let's say the
Gosh,
same
I'm really
person
curious
or a similar
how long
person,
it
like,
took
he
me.
puts in this much time, and if he, is like, not that efficient or standing in town, it can take more than 200 hours to reach Paragon 300.
Yeah.
And easy, it can maybe even take 300 hours, It just really depends on what you're doing and what your priorities are. But for me, again, that's just how I like to play and how I like to enjoy the game, Like, other people might be different. They might be looking at, here the nice graphics and, we're going to chill. And it's just the individual, like what everybody wants to do, basically.
Yeah, no, definitely. I've actually never hit 300, but I think one season I'm probably going to start going hard.
And it's
Oh my
also
gosh,
going to accumulate,
Cliptis,
right? Like
seriously?
over
Yep.
time. What about Paragon? Are you right now or like, what was your highest in the season?
No, this season I think I'm only like 267. I'm pretty low. I haven't had as much time to play as I wanted
Yeah.
to. But the highest I ever got was I think 296.
Yeah, but the thing is, I mean, that's also like 96. That's already pretty good. Wait, that's almost there. What? Like, it's like
Almost there, yeah.
I know,
Yeah,
it's
almost
like, why
there.
did you stop
Yeah.
the
okay, but yeah,
test?
so in non-season you're already 300 then.
Yeah. Oh yeah, on Eternal.
Yeah, okay, so
we're
you're
already there.
basically, you're Eternal,
Yeah.
you're basically 300. And 296,
Yeah.
I mean, you're
Eternal.
definitely basically there. And the thing is, like,
I'm
this is also a
not
bit of a problem.
Team
Like, there's
Eternal
not
at
really
all.
like a crazy incentive, after like, I don't know, like 270 or something. Like, I just do it because I just enjoy it. I would even like to see it go more and be harder, but like, it's just
Right.
completely optional anyways.
Wait,
Like, nobody
oh
needs
my
to
gosh.
do this. It's just like a
I don't want that
cool,
300
like,
to be
personal small
worse.
achievement if you want to do it.
Yeah, I think it would be great if they just added one more board.
Yeah,
Just one
dude,
more.
One more board, but I also think, and this is a really big issue, and I'm going to make a video about this here in the next days as well, and be very
Okay.
vocal about it. I really feel we have a big problem with experience and with rewards in general. Like, what Blizzard did last season, they basically made the pit scaling so crazy that, like, most people are capping out around pit 100, maybe 110 if they're really pushing it.
Right.
But the problem is they completely forgot, or they just didn't do it. They didn't scale the rewards with it. So it's
Yeah.
completely unreasonable in terms of being efficient or, improving your character to do any high pits. It's a complete waste
That
of
is
time.
so true.
And I really think they need to increase the rewards for high and challenging content. Basically, the most efficient, the best way to play the game right now is to do content that is in no way challenging to your character. You want to run
That's
like
so
pit
true.
70 or something.
That-
Pit
yeah.
69 I
Right.
was always running because it's a great number.
Yeah.
Now, we were just running pit
Oh my
69
God,
all
we
the time
did
to
it.
Paragon 300. And people always
Right.
ask me, why don't you do higher? I said, it's just not worth it, Like, the monsters, they get like 20-something%
Jeez,
more
okay,
HP.
I'm
And you
gonna
get
pause right there because that is like the story of my life when I was doing the pit pushing for the Paragon 300, where people kept. I would play with viewers and people kept wanting me to push higher, and I would be like, no. I would like literally have to kick people out. Like, you're slowing me down by wanting me to do a higher pit. It doesn't matter that my barb can do it. It just takes so much longer. It wasn't efficient at all.
1% more XP. It's like you're basically losing
Yeah,
experience
it's not much.
if you're going up, and you're not getting any more greater affixes. You're not really getting many more obols either. So I really feel that Diablo has a big problem there, where I would want challenge or the most challenging content to also be the most, or at least more rewarding than it is right now.
Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah,
agreed.
With the changes that they had in Season 9, where they're going to be increasing by torment tier, I think that they're starting to think about it at least. So maybe that's going to be something that
Hope so.
we'll start to see. Because at least at least the concept was thrown out there. I don't know how it's going to feel and when we actually go live in the season, but at least it was thrown out there.
So
You have your
I feel like we never
conversions,
know.
and you're also
Like-
using the insights product to append the originating domain.
I feel like we never really know what the
talking
season's
about
gonna
season
be
9,
like until we actually
it's
start
just around the
playing
corner.
it. July
As
1st,
always,
y'all.
there is mixed views from the community, as every season brings. How much are you expecting the change from the PTR to the live version? And what do you think the seasonal mechanic is going to do? Do you think that, because we haven't seen that yet, do you think it's going to be a game changer?
So obviously I have my wishes. And then there is what I
Okay.
can realistically expect from Blizzard. And those are two very different things, unfortunately. So I
Right,
think the
right.
game needs a lot of help right now. But I think, like, this is just speculation, but I just think they are holding most of the big updates back for the expansion. Obviously, there's going to be another paywall with the expansion and stuff. And this is just how it works. Like, they just want to earn some money, right? It's just always, unfortunately, how it is. And it looks like we're not really getting anything completely crazy that's game changing until then. And I really hope happens like early next year with the expansion. But until
Yeah.
then, I think we just have to deal with powers and more powers every season, and minimal changes. Obviously, I really hope, and I think this is also can be expected, that they change the class balance. Like, they gotta fix the bugs first of
Oh
all.
my god.
So I think they will do this. There's obviously the infinite damage barb, like with the bleed stuff. It was fun. It was fun on the
That was very
PTR,
fun, yep.
but people always get mad. Like, don't show this on the PTR. Don't show this. They're gonna nerf this. And I'm like, dude, like, it's maybe gonna be fun in the live game for 1 or 2 days. It's completely bugged, does infinite damage. Like, it's not good for the long-term health of the game.
Not at all.
We wanna, the community, it needs to be shown. It needs to be figured out on the PTR. And I'm very happy and grateful that we have a PTR, because else all these bugs, they just happen in the live game. So they need to fix some of those bugs. Like, there's also Spiritborn double dipping and just double dipping on Shatter, and like all the top builds are always bugged. And
I
this is
didn't
like
know
one of
about
the biggest
that,
problems that I think the game has as well. Where basically like the top builds, like, it's not really like about how good your character is. It's just always about knowledge of what's bugged. Like, where is
That
the problem in the
is
damage
so
calculation?
true.
Like, what can you do there? At least on the high end, right? If people are seeing the high pit clears, it's just like that. And I think that's just a really sad state. And with the PTI, it's been gotten better, and I really hope that they, implement this kind of feedback. And I hope they buff up some of the new seasonal powers. I think overall, they were obviously there's a lot of customization, like what you can do with like those different spells that you can do and stuff. But I felt like it was a bit underwhelming in terms of impact.
Yeah.
I don't know. How do you feel about that?
The seasonal
was
powers,
alright, that was
I did
alright.
feel the same. There were definitely a couple of like fun interactions, like the teleporting one that probably won't make it to the live server. That was very fun.
I
But
really
it
hope they don't fix that, because it's just
I
not
know, me
much
too.
damage, right? It's like so
it didn't
cool
do
for the
any
barb
damage.
to teleport.
Yeah.
The Necromancer, man. Necromancer,
Dude,
like the
flying.
slowest class. You're flying. Like,
so
I
good.
mean,
I think Barb is
I would be
slow.
actually pretty mad if they like changed that. It's like, you can maybe do like pit 70 to 80 max.
Yeah.
And this is what the season powers, in my opinion, should be. They should all be like that. Actually
100%.
change the way your character plays, not just give you a damage multiplier. That's boring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, and I'm taking the powers with a grain of salt. When we tested out the boss powers,
No.
I was like, I don't really like these. It's really overblown. All your damage is going from that. You have nothing to do with your characters. When we hit season 8, they completely changed everything, and the boss powers have actually been a lot of fun to play with. So I'm hoping we get a little bit about that with the new heraldic powers when they get to the season. But it just felt like it was just adding like you can get unstoppable or you can get vulnerable damage. And like that was kind of it. So we'll see what happens. But I'm hoping that they change it.
Yeah, I hope it's going to be more impactful. Totally agree.
Yeah. And I'm kind of curious to see, because the only piece of the puzzle that we're missing right now is the seasonal content.
Oh.
There were a whole bunch of stuff laying around all the Nightmare dungeons that we couldn't interact with. The heraldic strongholds, I'm hoping they change this because they didn't drop Obdicite.
Oh.
At least not that I saw. So I don't
was
know.
it called the strong rooms?
Strong
it's
rooms,
the
yes.
strong rooms,
Sorry,
not
yep,
strong rooms.
yeah.
I was like,
yep.
wait,
No,
what?
you're
Verdict
right.
strong
Yep,
ones? Okay,
yep,
no,
you're
the
right.
room.
Yep,
Yeah,
strong rooms,
totally.
yep.
Because I mean, basically the reason to go to Nightmare Dungeons, at least right now, is to get Obduxite, and then it seems like you're taking a break from that and just doing this strong room that doesn't even give any Obduxite. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, that doesn't make
And
sense.
I also really hope, the theme is called escalating Nightmare Dungeons or escalation. There's no escalation. Like what they even mean? Like it's like basically just the 3 Torment 4 dungeons in a row with a boss in the end. Like I was hoping, and I get this feedback already, that this goes well beyond Torment 4 difficulty. At least if you want to, right? And then obviously, as it's harder, you should also get more rewards. I really hope they stop doing this just T4 content, because you outscale it so fast, and it definitely doesn't feel like any escalation system whatsoever.
Packing an order for Kelly in North Carolina today, and let me just say, Kelly's taste, impeccable. This order is a
that's good for you,
routine upgrade.
Kelly.
So, I don't know if I'm expecting this. I'm hoping
Yes.
it's going to happen.
Yeah.
That they're going to, make the higher levels harder and go well beyond Torment 4.
Yeah, me too. I don't know how it's going to feel going in with a fresh character. I did the opposite this time on the PTR. Last time,
But I mean, that's fine. You can just do T1, right? Like, you don't have to do T4 or whatever the highest tier is going to be.
Yeah, so I do hope that it does go. Like, the first one feels a little bit less. Maybe if you start on tier 1, feels like tier 1, then feels like tier 2, then feels like tier 3. So we'll see what it looks like when it drops. But yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of hopeful, kind of not. There's been a lot of speculation a little bit about the Paladin. I know that we had this whole big scare with the Xbox event that they had, and I just saw a video about somebody talking about the Knights gathering at the middle of the night, and
Yeah. I saw that. I think it was Riker. It was good.
It was Riker. Yeah, Riker did it. Do you think it's coming?
So I don't know if they're going to call it Paladin, but I'm like 99%, this is speculation, but I'm 99%. It's going to be the holy archetype, sword and broad. There's too many spoilers, too many, hints, let's say.
I mean, that kind
And
of
I mean,
reminds me of
I think
Diablo
even Rob
3.
Ferguson, the manager himself, like he didn't say it point blank, but he basically said it between the lines that they're going to be making a Paladin, or maybe they call it, like, I don't know, like a Templar or like a priest,
it would
whatever.
go with the
But
storyline.
I mean, I would definitely like
After
they
I
gotta
finally
make it
played
happen. It's
Diablo
like
3, it really
Microsoft
helped me
now,
understand
they
Diablo
want to
4
make
more.
money, and the easiest W for them is to make a Paladin. Like, it would be great marketing, and it just gives the people what they want. And no matter how cool they make an alternative class right now, if they don't give you Paladin, majority of the community is just going to be mad anyways.
It's
so
gonna be
it's
an
an
uproar.
easy monetary W. And I think that's the main language that is spoken
Monetary
in corporate
W,
America.
so
Like, this
funny.
is how it's going to go, man.
Yeah, I think there would be riots if there's no Paladin or Paladin-like class. Something
it would
like
make
that.
sense.
Well, that was all of the questions that I had for you today. Thank you for all that you do for the Diablo community, sharing builds, helping people, just doing things like this with me. I really appreciate it. This has been an amazing interview. So for everybody that is listening or watching, because we do this on a bunch of different platforms, some don't have video, you want to spell out for everybody where they can come and find you, they can check out all your content and see what all the hype's about.
All right, yeah, thanks for having me here. It was really cool, man. Like, Barb Nation is uniting here. So obviously, I'm Rob2628 on Twitch, YouTube, TikTok. I think with an underscore on TikTok. You can put it in the description, maybe. And we'll be cooking up some content here all together for season 9. I can't wait.
Just
man.
around the
It was fun.
corner,
GG.
y'all. July 1st.
That was awesome. Well, thank you everybody for listening and for watching out there. I will catch you all on the next episode of Masters of Sanctuary Clipcast.
All right. Okay. Well, that was my first time reacting to a podcast, and I was having a great time watching Rob's interview. Barb is my favorite class, or my main class, or the one I've played like every single season. And Cliptis also loves Barb, right? So that was so interesting to watch Rob's backstory, right? I didn't know any of that about him. I mean, I just know him obviously from his builds. He has that reputation of always having like the best builds to deal the most damage. And I have played some of his builds in the past, but I didn't use his builds like to do the leaderboards last season. But that's not to say he doesn't make good builds. I just couldn't get mine right, and that's a me thing. But I'm very excited for season 9 to drop on July 1st, and at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And with that being said, Cliptis and Immortalize are doing a race to T4. They're doing a contest, a group contest, 4 players and a team. So I just wanted to go ahead and make sure I put that in the description. So he has other tiers as well. But if you're interested in signing up your team of 4 for this contest, they have awesome prizes. I don't want to spoil it for you. Just look at my description below for more details and sign up your team. It should be pretty excited. I will be doing that with my I have my own clan, Violet Realm clan, which we're still taking applications. And it'll be myself, Shade Demon, who is one of my clan officers, and 2 of my very, very good Twitch friends, X, the Xpan X, and Briscoe Dark Soul. So the 4 of us will be doing the contest on launch date. So hopefully we won't have any issues with the internet. I have my stuff plugged in with the Ethernet, so I hope I'm good to go, but we'll see. With that being said, I hope everybody is excited for season 9, and I hope it's going to be a good season. And if you're excited, please let me know what build you're going to be doing when the season launches. I'm very curious. I still don't know, y'all. I am debating between Barb and Spiritborn, so we'll see. So until then, peace and love. Ciao.